Hello. In this video, we're going to look and explore a little bit more on rubrics and how they assist you when creating tasks and assignments on Google Classroom. So, what is a rubric for starters? A rubric is an assessment tool that not only allows teachers to add um, clear expectations about what's required in learning, but also gives learners a structure, a framework to understand what they need to do to be successful in a piece of learning or a task. So, how rubrics attach to Google Classroom? I've already done an example of this just for the purpose of this video. So we're going to go to the classwork section. And what I've done is I've already created an assignment within computing science called Understanding Microbits. For the purpose of this, and to just be contextual, this is an assessment piece that has covered a lot of learning over the course of a number of weeks. Now you can see I've set up my assignment here. I've popped in the learning intention success criteria, but I've also added a little file which is useful for the learners, which is view only, so it's just a PowerPoint that I want them to be able to see and interact with. But you'll see that I've added a rubric in here. So I've added an assessment tool that's visible to both staff, teachers, and learners. And if I access this, you'll see that it's got a grading system. Now, I've only put in 2 sections. You can add in a number of these. So you can see I've added code functionality and creativity and innovation. And you'll also see that there's a point system alongside a level name and also a descriptor. So these are some of the key elements that you can input as you build this rubric on your own. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to edit this assignment, and I'm going to show you what this looks like as you're creating the assignment yourself. So we've went under our classwork tab, we've selected to create an assignment, and we've been tasked with creating a title, putting in instructions, which is optional. I often just use the space for learning intention success criteria, but it's entirely up to you. And we've also attached this from our drive, and we've made sure that students can only view that file. I don't want them to be able to edit it. I just want them to be able to view it. So if we go over to the right hand side, we can see we've got the option to assign to all students, we've got a point system, we've got due dates, whether you want to close a submission after the due date, and we've also got a topic, which for this context is computing science. You can see here that we've got this rubric which has 2 criteria. Now I've already added this, but if I were to remove this, I can delete that, and I can go to add a rubric. Now, we've got 3 options. You've got create a rubric, which is creating it from scratch, and we're going to talk about these 3 options. So you can create a rubric, you can reuse a rubric, or you can import one from Google Sheets. Now, if you want to create a rubric, it means you will start from scratch. But any slowdown, it's good to be aware that we have AI tools like Copilot, for example, that can provide you a framework for the rubric that you maybe wish to edit. So when we say create a rubric, it doesn't actually mean that we have to create it from scratch. We can use Copilot, which is the AI tool that's available to us, to create the baseline or the kind of structure of that, and then we can edit it ourselves to perfect it so that it fits in with exactly what we need. So that's a good example. We can reuse our rubrics. So the one really good thing about rubrics is once you buy into this and you can see the value both from a teacher's perspective and also a pupil's perspective, once you've created these library of rubrics, you can share them with other staff, but you can also reuse them. So they save to your Google Drive, you can reuse them. And I'll show you an example of this just as one I have used in another class. You can see there's a lot of rubrics here, and we can select that, and it inputs the rubric exactly as it was before. If you wish to edit that because it just didn't, it was okay, but you didn't want you wanted to change it a little bit, you can go in and you can edit it as you wish. So really, really useful and really handy that you know that you can reuse these rubrics. If you already have some that you've created and they're in the format of Google Sheets, you can import from Google Sheets. It does have to be formatted in the correct way to be able to import. So this one we'll maybe look at in more detail in another video. So let's just go back to create a rubric. And for the purpose of this, I've already created a rubric using AI, and I've imported or I've copy and pasted the information into Google Docs. So as you can see, we're not going to create one just now. I'm just going to go through these descriptors and show you how to use this. So if we were creating our first criterion title, you can see that criteria 1, we've got code functionality. I'm just going to copy and paste that in there. So we've got code functionality, and the criterion descriptor is how well does your microbit work and do what it's supposed to do. Okay, so we've got our title, we've got our descriptor. For our point system, you can either go from top to bottom or bottom to top. It's up to you. So for the first value, that would be level 1. So we would be beginning. Now, it's really important that you understand that these level titles can be whatever you want them to be. But what we would ask, or what we would I do for best practice, is we choose a level title and we stick to it in that subject area. It allows pupils to know, or learners to know, what the terminology is for 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, and it just keeps it consistent across the board. So they will receive 1 point, which will be they're beginning to understand it, and the description of that is these two elements here. So we have a description of the code does not work or is kind of incomplete, and the project doesn't demonstrate understanding of basic coding concepts. So a learner will know that if they received 1 point for their code functionality, this is why they've received that 1 point. And as we go along, we can add another point system, which will be 2 points. We can click this button and add 3 points, and we can add 4 points, and so on. If you've used AI to generate this, it will generate level titles for you. They will always differ. It's just nice and easy if you want to pick one and stick to it, that you can just change these as and when. The AI is really just generating the framework or the structure of the rubric. It's really important that we as staff, make sure that we go through that generated rubric and tweak it so that it suits our needs. So we've shown how you can demonstrate how you can create a title, and you can create a criterion. The second thing that we want to do is you can actually add different criterion. So code functionality is only one element of my rubric. As you can see, I've got creativity and innovation. I've also got project design and presentation, and I've also got understanding and explanation. So what I can do in here is I can add a criterion, and I can add all 4 of those criterion in there and add in their levels and the description and the points. The one I had previously had 2 criterion, both with marks of 4, so we've added that as 8 points. And then you have a rubric that allows you to assess a piece of work that you've assigned in Google Classroom without having to give all of the individual comments. By scoring the assignment, you will provide them with the comments that go alongside the rubric, rather than having to write those comments in on an individual basis. I hope that was useful. That's been a quick insight as to how you can attach, reuse, or create rubrics, and also how you can use AI to help you get started.